Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Know the Faith, Defend the Faith. My name is William Hemsworth. It's great to be with you all again today for today's episode. Let's talk about mercy today. Our guest today is Lara Patangan, and she's the author of a great new book titled Simple Mercies: How the Works of Mercy Bring Peace and Fulfillment. Lara, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and congratulations on the book. And it was just released on May 28th. So, congratulations. That's huge. It's got to be exciting.
It is. It's very exciting. And I love my topic. I feel like I could talk or write about mercy for the rest of my life. So I'm really happy to be there to have it out there.
Well, mercy is something we all need. Not only that, but we all need to give it. Uh,
Yeah.
but can you tell our audience a little bit about you and why you decided to write this book?
Well, first of all, you know, before I knew mercy, it was just this, another fancy word I heard at church that I didn't quite understand. I mean, I guess if you pinned me to the wall, I could have given you some kind of a definition. But I think, again, it was just one of those background words that I really didn't understand what it meant and how it was shown and how we give it and how desperately we all need it. But I was approaching a milestone birthday. I was going to be turning 40. And so of course I thought of, people are like, what are you going to do for your birthday? And I thought of all the typical things you think of, like a big party, a trip, buying something. But nothing appealed to me. And I think that was just kind of a reflection of the hollowness that was growing in my heart, like it just everything, I don't know, all of that seemed very insignificant to me and not, I think I wanted something more purposeful. And so then one Sunday during mass, I had this brilliant idea that I was going to spend the year doing corporal and spiritual works of mercy. And I was going to write about the experience and share it with others on a blog. And when I tell you this, William, I mean, I wasn't even reading blogs at that point, had never read a blog. I'm technologically deficient, have no idea how to even begin to start a blog. I really didn't even know I couldn't have told you what the 14 works of mercy were. I just knew that they had something to do with service. I mean, this was really, to me, a very Holy Spirit inspired idea because I was so excited about it. It made so much sense. And I knew so little to even think about. It was almost comical to even think about really going forth and doing this. But that was also part of what empowered me too, because I felt like, if I can do this in my vast ordinariness, then anybody can. And that really did somehow make me feel like, even though I was the least qualified because I wasn't a theologian or a scholar or had a clue what I was doing, it somehow made me feel the most qualified to do it.
Okay.
So that was kind of the beginning of my journey into, you know, practicing mercy. I spent the year, doing all of the 14 works of mercies in different ways, and so I really, it made you think about and that's something I want people to take away from the book is just this expansion of what the concept of mercy is and all of the ways that we practice it and as an ordinary part of our daily life. And so it helped me with that.
Okay. Now, in the introduction, you give a great breakdown to what mercy is. So, can you tell us what exactly is mercy?
To me, mercy is compassion, and it's a do-over. It's a second chance. Um, it's the get out of jail free card that we all want and that we don't deserve. You know what I mean? That we get
Yeah.
from God. And um, and again, I think, I mean, and I struggled with that as a writer, writing about these topics like, oh, works of mercy, it just sounds so archaic, like nobody knows what you're talking about, But if you say I'm doing a year of service, then people know what you're talking about and everything. So I think that there really needs to be some more familiarity with what mercy is, and certainly what the works of mercy are, because they're so relevant. I mean, really. And I think when we think of them too, we always think of them in terms of serving the poor and our physical needs of food, clothing, and shelter, when there's some amazing spiritual works of mercy with, like, counsel the doubtful and admonish the sinner, and which nobody wants to go near, but that's a really great and important one. And there's just, I think if you really kind of study them and look at them, and I did, just because I was trying to do these acts of service and kind of match them up with what, where does this go? Then you're just like, wow, this is so relevant. I almost think this is the book that you need, that you don't realize you need. You know what I mean? Because I don't,
Right.
Most of us are not walking around thinking like, I need mercy, but man, if you said, I need a break, you know what I mean?
That's
People would,
mercy.
yeah, like, come on, give me a break. Give me the benefit of the doubt. How about we give our neighbor the benefit of the doubt? We've become such a polarized society, and it's and so tribal, and I think that it's like we forget we're all God's children,
Mhm.
and I'm really not a bully in any area of my life, but with people that say they don't believe in God, because I can never wrap my head around that. And so I'm always like, you just haven't realized it yet, because I just feel like God is in all of us. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so again, like, I just feel like we're all, like, even if you don't think that you're a child of God, you are. And we really need to start living that way a little bit more unified.
Right. So you took this year, you're writing about the 14 works of mercy that you're doing. Was there any particular work of mercy that was harder for you than all the others?
Um, Going to prison was hard because it was complicated, like complicated as far as like getting approval to get in and all of that.
Okay.
It was hard because I had to, you know, kind of convince my husband, and my mother that I was going to do this or whatever. And it was hard because um, I was nervous, to do it. Um, but there were also some more ordinary ones um, that were hard because, like, I served at the food kitchen, the soup kitchen one time, and there was a man there. We have all these people coming and going, and it's Christmas, and it's Christmas music playing, um, and this man comes in with his baby, um, and he's basically ignoring her. He's got his back to her. He's ignoring. He's talking to his friend. So I went over and I said, "Can I feed her?" So I started feeding her all that. Anyways, he gets up and he's like, we're going. And I was like, well, she's still eating, like, let's, and, but it was very, that was hard for me as a mother. And, it was like the baby was, because I asked her age, all of that, she was about to turn 1. And again, it just made you think about your own life and how, for the first birthday of my kid, especially my first son, I mean, it was like there were like 4 birthday parties. It was ridiculous. It
Yeah.
was, over the top. But and then you're like, you don't even care that this baby is eating her food, like, so excited, like, I'm like so excited that she's eating, and I don't even, know her. I'm just excited that she's eating, and stuff like that. I mean, I know it's small, but it hit home for me because it realizes, and again, that's why mercy comes into play. Like, we don't all have the same backgrounds.
Right.
We don't all get the same kind of love and nurturing that we need, and we can't assume that everybody else is like us and has the same backgrounds as us. And I think that really, I mean, I can't imagine being a child and eating in a soup kitchen. I can't imagine what the rest of that little girl's life is like.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a hard thought to fathom as a parent. Definitely
Yeah.
is. In your book, you talk about how you wanted more. I believe you at one point you said you were watching gymnastics on TV and you wanted to be this gold medal gymnast. So how have the works of mercy given you a different perspective on life?
Oh my gosh, completely different. Because I think now I'm so aware of the messages that we get from the world, the secular messages that tell us to be more, have more, do more, achieve more. And we do these things and we spend our lives chasing these just achievement-based things, and they may appear to be very good things. And in and of themselves, there's nothing wrong with them, but they don't fill us. And it's not necessarily what we were created for. I mean, I really do believe we were created for love and service, love and serve God, and God created us. And it just makes sense you know, that's part of who we are and what we should be doing. Um, and as somebody who has spent so much of my life, just I guess because of the way I'm wired, I don't know, searching for purpose and for meaning, and even in motherhood, like you think like, oh, I'm a mother, shouldn't that be like my one true purpose or something? But I really think it's love and service to God, because all of these other things, you do, even like they have value and all of that, and you may get some fulfillment from it, but I don't think it's the same as what we get just from those little acts of compassion, that we do for one another. And I think life is so much better having reframed it this way, because I don't want to spend my life chasing and striving and trying to be what the world wants me to be, or trying to be what my neighbor wants me to be, or trying to live up to some image of something. Like, I don't want that. I really don't. I mean, life is so short, and I really just want to live it with that kind of freedom where I'm not attached to anything. I don't have those physical attachments and material attachments, and I know it sounds all kind of idealistic and whatever, but I think there's a lot of truth in it, and I think it's just a constant fight that we have to make, that I have to make personally to stay on that path, because the messages of the world are so subtle and they bombard us, and we don't even always see it or recognize it, and we really have to pay such careful attention to that, I think.
Right, like you said, it's that constant bombardment, whether it's radio, TV, billboards, whatever the case is. It's you need
Yeah,
more, you need this, you need this, you need this. But in the end, our Lord said, "What you do to the least of these, you do to me." And I think
right.
sometimes, I guess that leads into my next question: is how do you think that we as Catholics, or just Christians in general, have overlooked the works of mercy, in your opinion?
um okay, so you said Catholics and
Well, Catholics or just Christians in general, do you think we've
okay.
overlooked the works of mercy?
Well, what I want to say, the reason I is, like, I feel like Catholics used to have historically had such a great reputation for serving in our
Right.
world. All of the education, the hospitals, all of that.
Absolutely.
And I absolutely love that about our faith. And I think it's so beautiful. And again, the secular world thinks our faith is like, judgmental and pedophilia and all kinds of
Right.
god awful things, you know what I mean? Um and you sit here and again, I just think like, let's kind of get back to the basics of what we're good at, which is love and service, and as a faith, I'd like to see more of that, I mean, I still think that the Catholic Church certainly, and Catholics in general serve a lot, but I would like to see more of that like movement towards it, because it's it's so important. It's living the faith. It's showing your love for God. But it's also showing the world what we really are about, what our faith really is. It's not an ugly faith. It's a beautiful faith. It's really truly a faith that I don't think anybody can argue against, this message. I mean, when I started writing about Mercy, I was really like, of course, I was terribly naive because A, I run that way, and B, I had no idea what I was doing. But I was like, oh, even if you don't believe in God, you would love this, because this is so good. How does anyone argue against this kind of kindness and compassion that our world so desperately needs? And you know, I don't know. I think that that it's certainly out there, but I would love to see more of it. I would love to see us all be a little bit more clanging the gong about it, and not in a gross, yucky way or whatever about like, yay me, but just like, yay, this feels so good. I'm serving, I'm helping, I'm making a difference. And I think that that is something we need to come out of the closet about ourselves. This is what I do. I don't think we need to be so private about that. Um,
Good. And I'm sorry to jump around. So you're writing the blog as you're doing this Year of Mercy. How did it turn into a book?
um, I still write on the blog, and I guess I had some of the people that followed me really encouraged me. That you've got to turn this into a book. This is, I would buy this for my friends, just that kind of stuff. So it really encouraged me. And honestly, I'll be honest, like William, I'm already
Oh,
calling you
fine.
Will.
Either one, it's fine with me.
Now I'm giving you nicknames. But so after I did my year, I took a break, and because I was like, okay, I'm done, did it. I kind of wanted just to go back to my life. Well, there's none of that, when you've had this real change in your heart and who you are and everything, and it did. Um, and I don't know, I probably took close to a year off or whatever, and I just didn't have anything that filled me the way that talking about Mercy, writing about Mercy did. And so I just started it back up again, and I kind of kept going. So I guess on that personal level of who I am, it feels like a calling, and of course there certainly were times that I wish that was not my calling. I just wanted to. I mean, who doesn't want to go back and be, a shallow girl? Like, that's so great. I know it's not, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
because doing these works of mercy were really, they really stretched me, and they, they often made me sad. I mean, I don't think you can talk about. I know I'm, here, and I'm being all rah about service, and I mean it and I feel it. It's true, but it's definitely also true that service can be hard, and sitting with someone and their suffering, definitely can be painful for us. It's not easy. It's not easy to not be able to solve all of the things that you would love to solve for people, but that was one of the beautiful realizations that I had, was that God doesn't call us to solve. He calls us to serve, just show up for each other, and I was making it way more complicated, like I tend to do. I was making it way more complicated than it needed to be, and my heart was certainly in the right place with it. But I think that that I was getting a little lost on that,
Mhm.
wanting to be able to do more. Again, it was that concept of more, because I live in this secular world, and I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, I did this act of service, but what did it really do? How did it really change things for somebody? Um, and I think that, that's a really toxic message. I think we have to break Mercy down into smaller parts, and just, if you can give somebody a moment of relief, sometimes that's huge. I mean, just think about your own life and times that you've been struggling with something, and how much it matters to you when somebody just gives you a moment of compassion, a moment of understanding, a moment to just be comforted and to be seen, all of those things. I really think at the end of our lives, when we think about other people, the people that have touched us, that's what we remember. We don't really care about what was on their resume. It's not interesting. It's just plastic. Um, so I don't know. Now I've gone on too long.
Oh, no, you're fine. It's all good. What would you say to someone who says they don't have time to do these works of mercy?
I would say, just like I do to the people who say they don't believe in God, I would say you are doing these works of mercy already. You're not recognizing them as works of mercy. And that's an injustice to yourself, and your relationship with God, because if you would recognize it, as a way to love and serve God, you would feel better about cleaning up after your kids, or, making dinner, or, dealing with a really angry person at work, and showing them patience and compassion. If you knew that you were doing that for God, how different would that perspective be of that situation for you? It would be so different. And I think that there's kind of two different kinds of service. There's that organic service that we do in our daily life that so often we don't credit ourselves with, and I know personally, like, that was part of the motivation for the book too, was I know so many people who do so many great things in our community, and they feel like they're not doing enough. They don't realize that serving at their school or their church, um, or taking care of their elderly parents, or helping take care of their grandchildren, like, those things matter so much. I mean, that's what makes us
Absolutely.
a community, and so I think that's what I mean when I say we really need to broaden our definition or our understanding of what mercy is, almost like broaden it to make us see the smaller parts. You know what I mean? And then there's the service that we can do, in more of a volunteer capacity. And for that, I would say, certainly there are different seasons of our lives, that we have more time to give to outside service. But one of the things that I love about the service and mercy, and just being in a community, is that there are so many different ways that we can all serve. And again, I think we need to expand our thinking of that, and find something that does fit within our time constraints and does fit with our comfort level. What I'm comfortable doing, you may not be comfortable doing. And I think that that's something that's, and you want it to be a good fit. And I think there's no shame in that, like prison ministry. When I went, I was really excited because all the prison ministry people love it. They think it's, and so they're like, oh my, you're going to see God, you're going to like all of these things. And so I was kind of sad afterwards because I thought, okay, I didn't love that. I thought it was awful, and it made me sad, made me profoundly sad, honestly. And 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 you almost feel like, oh, what, like, why didn't I get it? How come they get it and I don't get it? But it's okay. And now I'm like, praise God that there are people that love prison ministry, because it's so
Yes.
bad needed. And I pray for the prisoners all the time, because I went and I saw how it was, and it really touched me. But that is not something that I feel a calling to do. You know what I mean? And there's
Right.
no shame in that, but there's so many other ways that I can serve and be comfortable, and you know and make the time for it and everything. I think we just need to be motivated. I think we need to realize, like, it's not as hard as we think. You know what I mean? It really, just start Googling some places. I mean, I had to come up with all of these places during that year, um and and just paying attention. I mean, one of the works of mercy I did, which was for Barry the dad, was I planned a funeral for a Burmese immigrant, and I read about that
Wow.
in the newspaper. I read about it in the newspaper. I called somebody at my church that I knew worked with Burmese refugees, and I said, I read about this horrible accident. Is there anything I can do to help? And from there, I'm meeting with the family. I'm at the funeral home. It just took on a life of its own. I had never planned a funeral before. So but I mean, God will equip us. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
just, little by little, I mean, and there was like a language barrier, there was a money barrier, there was a communication dialect thing going on. It couldn't have been more complicated, but you figure it out and you just do it. And I just think it needs to be this kind of openness and willingness to serve. But we think we need to get back in touch with that. But,
So I guess there's 14 works of mercy, and there's one of them will fit you more than the
yeah.
others. We just have to find that one.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the book came out on May 28th. What feedback have you received so far?
Um, well, so far people, I mean, they tell me they like it, and I tell them, you don't have to tell me that. You can, because writers, we can be kind of neurotic, so we don't always believe the good. But no, it's been very positive. I think that I mean, somebody messaged me yesterday on Facebook and said they really appreciated um, the one on Bury the Dead, the mourning. But I think it was because she had a recent experience with that. So I think, again, different things will touch different people. And I actually asked a friend, I, I said, what do you think that the book is about? And she told me, and she said it's really about ways we can do works of mercy in our life, and in our daily lives, and how meaningful it can be. And anyways, she did a really good job explaining it, and it made me feel good, because I was like, okay, good, you get it. You know what I mean? And you kind of get the point of the book, and the point of the book, really, to me, is it's an encouragement. I really do want people to feel better. Mercy really is about feeling better. I've spent enough of my life feeling bad, or in probably a lot of misplaced kind of ways. And I just think that I want to encourage people that you're more significant than you realize, and what you do is more significant than you realize. And just because you're not on the cover of People magazine, feeding in some foreign country to to the impoverished people, does not mean that your service is any less meaningful. I mean, we
Amen.
all matter. So no matter what walk of life we come from, the wealthiest person in the world needs mercy just as much as the poorest person does. Um, and I think that's an important lesson. That's another thing. People are like, well, who's the book for? I'm like, the book is for everyone. I mean, it really, mercy is for everyone. It is, and we all, I think, need to embrace it more, just as for the sake of our neighbor and for the sake of our own selves. I think it's such a gift. And and I want to say this because this was really significant too in my journey, was that it changed my relationship with God, because before I understood mercy, yeah, I knew God loved me technically. I could understand that,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't really experience it. I couldn't really ingest it. It wasn't really something I think I could get. Because I just felt too ordinary and too flawed and just too insignificant, really, and he's God and he's this, this greatest thing. And why is he interested in me? And mercy just fills that gap for me. It's that bridge that's like, well, he loves me not because of me, but because of him, because of his great compassion that he pours out. And that's really been the best part of that, is knowing God on that level, knowing
Right.
him more intimately, instead of it just being like, oh, he's way up here and I'm way down here. That's different.
Great. So where can our listeners get your book, and what's your website so they can learn more about you if they want to check out your blogging and all that other stuff you're doing?
Yes, I would love that. Please follow along on my blog, and I have a free free study guide for the book on the blog too. Um, the it's larapatangan.com. So it's LARA, no U, and then my last name, very complicated, just Patangan. So just Google it, and hopefully it will it comes. I think it also comes up if you do Mercy Matters. So I should just say Mercy Matters.
Okay.
And then the book is available on our Sunday Visitors website. It's available on Amazon. You can order it from any of your bookstores locally. I send people to our local bookstore, San Marco bookstore, but Books a Million, Barnes and Noble, but you have to order it from them. But they do have it, and they have it in stock and everything. So, but I encourage you to read the book, though, really, just because it's I hope it would expand your understanding about mercy, and it, because it really is, it's such a beautiful gift.
Great. Again, our website is larapatangan.com. It'll be in the notes. And the book is Simple Mercies, How the Works of Mercy Bring Peace and Fulfillment. Lara, thank you for taking some time today to come on and talk about your book. Congratulations on it. And thanks for all you're doing out there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. God bless.
Bye.